This is the Sonic Truth Dynasty podcast. I'm here with Cody Carpentier. Let's do a show.
Yeah, baby.
We're live. And we're talking about the players to hoard in Dynasty, the guys where you look at the ADP and you're like, okay, this guy is just undervalued across the board. Superflex, single quarterback. I want to get all this guy. So this is the time. This is the time of year where you can start to increase your portfolio, increase your percentage of certain players. Heading into the season, you're doing your final calibration of your roster before the season starts. And maybe just if you're at 15% on a guy, maybe you get it to 18%. And I want to talk to Cody about the players he's hoarding. We're going to look at the ADP tracker on PlayerProfiler and see where guys are going in sleeper dynasty leagues. And then we're also going to talk about some trades that we're seeing, trades we love, trades we hate. And typically those are going to involve players that we are trying to divest ourselves from or invest in. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull up this ADP tracker today, Cody. And, I can reel this off to you and just talk to you briefly about the first round in single quarterback leagues, and then we can just kind of go from there. How do you feel about that? Does that sound like a good show premise?
I like that idea.
Okay.
I was looking at a lot of Superflex stuff, but I like one QB. We can talk one QB.
Well, we'll start from. Hey, we're gonna talk Yes, Superflex is going to be a big topic of conversation here. Don't worry about that. But we will start with single quarterback. It's interesting to pull up. It's interesting to pull this up on PlayerProfiler, the Dynasty Deluxe package. By the way, this is just out, just decided. Father's Day is this Sunday, and the vast majority of people that play in Dynasty leagues are men, and many of them are fathers. So I thought, well, let's do a Father's Day giveaway because our fearless head of Instagram, Brittany, and Facebook. She runs Facebook. She runs Instagram. She's like, I got a bunch of graphics. I'm getting a charge over for Father's Day. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. Finally, somebody mentioned, these days slip by me and I'm like, oh, we should have done a special on this day. Oh, we could have done a special on this day. And it's like, too late, right? You missed it. We did one on Valentine's Day. That was the last one we did. And I was like, thank God someone mentioned Valentine's Day. We should do it. And so now we're doing Code Dad on PlayerProfiler. It's Code Dad from now through Father's Day. You get $50 off the all-in package. $50 off, which includes the Dynasty Deluxe package. Dynasty Deluxe has all the rankings, including Win Now and Rebuild Mode, has your draft planner, your league sync, trade finder, ADP tracker, all these things, including a free copy of the Dynasty Guide that we have here, the Dynasty Dominator book, which is many pages, many pages, and our rookie guide. Our $20 rookie guide is also included in that as well, and you are a big part of the rookie guide this year. Let me just pull up the number of total pages for this book. So this book is 94 pages. Classic Podfather. Classic. I couldn't even get to 100 pages. Couldn't do it. Tried everything. Couldn't get this thing to 100 pages, but it is 94 pages.
Code Dad, do you have to put in like a verification or anything like this to prove that you're a dad to get that discount?
You don't have to be a dad.
You don't have to be a dad.
No, you don't have to be a dad. You just get the discount. It's Code Dad. I like simple, easy discount codes. It's funny with Fast Draft. I'm wearing this Fast Draft hat right now. If you're an affiliate, so if you have a show, if you have podcast, YouTube show, website, and you want to earn money promoting Fast Draft or talk about Fast Draft to make some money, I highly suggest it. Code, whatever you want it to be. Assuming it's not taken already, you can pick your own code. And we pay $50 for every new user that you refer to us. It's a pretty good deal. So I highly suggest you reach out to me, Matt@fastdraft.app. Matt@fastdraft.app, and we'll set you up as an affiliate. And I'm like, hey, pick a code that's easy to remember. People will do these codes, and it's like SB5834, right? Or Danny, but Danny Two Smack or whatever it is. I don't know. But you see what I'm saying? It's like, well, is it the number 2? Is it 2 spelled out? Like, stop it. What is your name? What is your first name? Oh, my first name is Ben. How about code Ben? Ben's good. How about make it easy for people when they're on their phone, they're making a deposit, make it easy for them to type it in. Ben, Dad, whatever.
You don't like the 2ZKB George 2010.
Johnny Two Smacks 2014. Don't what? No, it's too long, and people don't know exactly how to spell that necessarily. I don't even. You have to show me how to spell it. Get out of here, dude. What? All these you realize there's a dictionary and there's a lot of 3-letter words, and there's a lot of them still available. Almost all of them are still available. There's a few that actually, I take that back. There are a handful of words you cannot use. So, we'll say that. There are a few words you're not allowed to use. There's a few. My daughter's also not allowed to say those words. It's a hint. What's not? Hint. You could use code hint. All right. We have the ADP tracker pulled up. The first pick in Dynasty is
Jamar Chase.
Of course. Of course it's Jamar Chase. Chase, Jefferson, Chase, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers. I was surprised to see Brock Bowers that high because I'm not a tight end guy. I would never take a tight end in the first round of a Dynasty startup. That's just not something I would do. I go to hit the button on that, and I can't do it. It goes right to Lamb. It goes right to Genty. I can't do it. And then I'm on Ross St. Brown after Lamb and Genty, and then with the 10th pick in the average 1-quarterback startup is Saquon Barkley. So, props to the Dynasty public. First 10 picks, no quarterbacks. Single quarterback, no quarterbacks. You don't get Josh Allen until pick 11. Pick 11. This is across all sleeper Dynasty leagues. So in our Dynasty Deluxe package, we have all the picks on sleeper Dynasty leagues synced up. And so you have Josh Allen at 11 and then Puka Nacua at 12. So that's your first round in single quarterback leagues.
When like the Saquon Barkley thing, and I kind of want to talk about Malik Neighbors a second too, but with Saquon Barkley, I don't get, like, we're talking about specifically, this is ADP for startup 1 QB drafts. This isn't rankings, things like this. This is startup, right? So you're starting up a draft today with 28-year-old Saquon Barkley as the 10th overall pick, coming off of 378 touches. And that's the biggest discrepancy for me in my rankings versus the ADP here in the top 50 is Saquon Barkley. Like, I get the talent. You don't have to convince me. Like, Saquon Barkley, I think, it speaks for itself. Being drafted in the top 5, it spoke for itself. He finally kind of, everything came together this last year for Saquon Barkley, but we're talking about fantasy football. We're not talking about real life football. We're talking about drafting to win. And do you really want to spend that first pick in the first round on him? When I look at my Dynasty rankings, I got him at 34th overall in 1 QB.
I'll tell you where we have him. So that's the beauty of the way we lay out the ADPs and the ADP tracker is we also put our lifetime value next to the player. And our biggest discrepancy is Josh Allen. In single quarterback, you can't be taking Josh Allen at 11. That's insane. Okay, that's actually more insane, more wrong, more inefficient than drafting Saquon Barkley, because at least Saquon Barkley, you could argue this is an extreme win-now move. And if you are trying to build a roster to win in fantasy, Saquon Barkley in the first round isn't the worst idea. But always and forever, Josh Allen in the first or second round is a bad idea in fantasy leagues, period, unless it's Superflex. But in single quarterback, whether it's best ball, whether it's Dynasty, whatever it is, you can't do that, man. You're ruining your build if you do that.
I think I tend to agree with you, but in the context of these two players, like for me, like I said, Saquon, like once they hit that age apex, and he's well over the age apex, hitting that career peak, almost 400 touches last year. I'm like hands off, because we've talked about this. It's in the book. It's, you want the receivers. I want to get rookie running backs. I really don't ever want to own these guys into age 29, 30 and stuff like this. Josh Allen, I kind of agree with you in the fact of, you don't want to draft him in the first round, but if we're weighing these two players against each other, because, I mean, that's what we're doing right here, the ADP tracker, they're back to back at the turn there at the end of the first round. Not saying it's a good idea, but as far as process goes, I could tell myself I got 8 more years of a proven Josh Allen leading an offense where you look at his finishes at QB in fantasy the last 6 years, it's been prolific. QB 2, 1, 3, 1, and 1. Like the writing's on the wall, what he's going to do for you. He's going to be your cornerstone. It's a bad process, 100%. But as far as like weighing it versus like a Saquon or like any aging running back, really, even like a McCaffrey. I know McCaffrey's not up here anymore, but a year ago he was. They're both bad processes, but I can understand it. I can at least get behind. If all of my preferred targets were gone, I could understand it. Would I do it? I think I'd probably rather click the Jaden Daniels button at this point. I got him as my overall QB1 in general, and he's right there, just a notch ahead of Josh Allen by one spot. I'd rather go that direction, but I could definitely be convinced that Josh Allen's that 12th pick, that 13th pick.
Okay, so if we toggle over to win now mode in our rankings, if we toggle over to win now mode, just in fairness, Saquon is RB16, player 16.
Player 16, okay.
Player 16. So he is player 16. He is RB5, player 16. But even in win now mode, because the upside is there this year for a Marion Hampton, you need to be drafting a Marion Hampton.
Yeah.
So one of the big inefficiencies, and it looks like one of the guys that, is someone that should be hoarded. And I think many that listen to the show are already hoarding him because we have him higher than, say, Tet McMillan, higher than Hunter. So most people that have an early pick, if they don't have Genty, they're getting Hampton. And so I think a lot of you already have an inordinate amount of Hampton in your portfolio. And the problem with a guy like Hampton is there's so much affinity around rookies, especially the rookie that you happen to select in the rookie draft. The idea that you're going to be able to trade for Hampton at this point after the rookie draft, probably not going to happen. You needed to get him in the rookie draft because once that player lands on a team, trading for him, prying him away is going to be very, very difficult. So that's the Saquon goes from in a neutral strategy, Saquon is player 19, and then he goes up about 5 picks if you're in win now mode, but would never get past Hampton. Hampton is the move there. And if we go back and look at the ADP tracker again, you'll notice it's a lot of these wide receivers we prefer. In single quarterback, it really is all about the wide receivers, and you kind of go from there. And so the big values, when you look at the ADP tracker, where guys are going versus their lifetime value in that middle column, a lot of the value comes from a guy like Brian Thomas, right? Brian Thomas is a smash, right? Where he's being drafted in the middle of the second round in Superflex, and then he's going in the early second round in single quarterback. Because Daniels, because Josh Allen, because Barkley, those guys are going to push Brian Thomas down a little bit in some of these single quarterback drafts, and then Brian Thomas becomes the smash pick. And then after that, we have Drake London as the next smash pick. It is mostly because these quarterbacks they get moved up. Running backs, tight ends, Achane, McBride, they go higher than they should. I mean, there's a pretty huge gap. I mean, the gap from Brian Thomas to Lamar Jackson, the gap from Drake London to Trey McBride, these are like 50-plus lifetime value rating points of gap where you're able to lock in that value. Ladd McConkey, right? Ladd McConkey. Look at the difference. Look at the juxtaposition in value. McConkey and Harrison go back-to-back at 20 and 21, but we think that they are in different tiers. We have McConkey in a different... Do you have McConkey in a different tier from Harrison?
I have McConkey. Where did he go? I'm a little bit lower on... We've been a little bit lower in general on Harrison. I have McConkey as overall player 20.
Okay.
And Harrison I have at 13. So I'm higher on Harrison. Trashman's been the one that's been weighing that down. He's at 40. So the way our rankings work is
40 on Harrison.
Huh?
Trashman has Marvin Harrison at player 40.
Yeah. He's completely...
Good for him, man. Good for him. God, this is where... Dude, Trashman... Man, if Trashman gets you guys on this... Man, if he saved... He could save you. He could save you on Harrison.
I think Alex and I are both probably more than reasonably. We're probably a bit high on the Arizona offense. We love Monty Austin-Fort out there in Arizona, the general manager. We were just talking about James Conner today on the show about kind of him being around like probably being another good value again this year. I like the fact that they didn't do a lot. They got Michael Wilson's fine, but he's like the perfect like 2. Trashman loves Greg Dortch of all things. Like he's like the Greg Dortch guy. He's like, I go to training camp. Greg Dortch is a better receiver than Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm like, all right. Listen, I get that you don't have Twitter, but Greg Dortch is better than Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm like, come on. And so I just think that what they've shown us and what they've told us, Marv was good last year. And he wasn't Malik Neighbors. He wasn't Jefferson. He wasn't Chase as a rookie, but he was good. He nearly crested 1,000. And if they would have given him more opportunities, which I think they would have in hindsight done, he would have been over 1,000 yards and he would be, I think, viewed in a different light. So am I a little bit aggressive? Yes, I'm at 13 overall. I'm a little bit aggressive, but this guy's got lineage. He's 23 years old. And I'm going to trust that process. And I have him ahead of Brian Thomas. So I think they're in different categories. Love Ladd, but when you just talk about the overall pass attempts in an offense, the Chargers are always going to be behind in that conversation, whether it's against Drake London or it's against Brian Thomas or it's against Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh, okay, so you have him at 13. We have Marvin Harrison at player 26. So
you cut it right now.
Basically double the ranking, and that's where we have him.
Well, not really. I mean, double the number.
That's where we have him. I feel good about it. I feel really good.
It's probably a fine
see
spot.
How a player who's sharing a field with Trey McBride in the Kyler Murray offense can hurt us. Like that is a calculated risk where we know there's upside there. Things break his way and they change his role and he becomes more efficient and all these things line up. There's a lot of shootouts, a lot of things line up that could really propel Marvin Harrison, but not to like a breaking fantasy level. Like we don't think there's a risk of Marvin Harrison breaking fantasy with Justin Herbert and that potentially being a real like offense that takes a step forward, and then it's a division that takes a step forward with a lot more shootouts this year, a lot less of these grinded out defensive matchups, which is very possible this year especially as the Kansas City defense ages. You could be in for a treat this year with the AFC West. Raiders improving, Broncos improving, a lot more shootouts, McConkey being the clear go-to guy, and everything we're seeing is just glaring McConkey season, McConkey season, McConkey season. So I think it's brave. I think it's actually braver for you to be more bullish on Marv than McConkey. It was essentially it's a de facto McConkey fade is what you're doing. Whereas it's actually that's very daring. Whereas what we're doing with Marv, it's like we don't see a lot of risk there that he could hurt us.
Well, outside of the fact that I have McConkey ranked 20th and he's going off right now on ADP tracker 20th,
it's very
I think
risky.
I would. The only
very daring. Very daring.
It's
well because everyone the problem is you say that and it's like I'm at consensus, man. There's no problem. Yes, but when people are following your rankings and every single one is drafting Marvin Harrison and no one has McConkey, it's funny how a singular decision, a singular rank integer value could tilt outcomes, and that's one that could.
What part? So if you are of the belief that Marvin Harrison Jr. can't break fantasy, can't beat you with a last year disappointing year, very disappointing, 6th in the NFL in air yards, 7th in air yard share, unrealized air yards, deep targets, all this stuff that's top 10, and an offense that added nobody. An offense that is only going to grow in connection with Kyler, grow in connection while playing with way inferior receivers, Zay Jones, Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, and adding on 10 pounds of weight. This guy averaged 17, 18 fantasy points a game, which is an uptick of 6. Yes. He also had, checks notes, 62 receptions on 116 targets, which clearly shows you a lack of connection, lack of downfield utilization, the correct targets, correct quarters of the field, which we saw on every single weekend. How they used him was wrong. If they dial that in and he's the focal point of that offense on the side, or he's a 1A, 1B with Trey McBride as the focal point of that offense, you can tell yourself easily that Marvin Harrison could jump up to 14, 15 fantasy points a game. If he gets up to 18, 19, it's a whole different conversation. Whereas I look at Ladd McConkey last year averaging 15 fantasy points per game and being targeted 112 times, 4 fewer than Marvin Harrison Jr., catching 1 fewer touchdown than Marvin Harrison Jr. And you look at that offense and as much as you want to say like, oh, this division is going to take a step up with the Chiefs, who, every game last year was 27-24, and the Broncos, who just added not 1 but 2 running backs and added who on the outside? Pat Bryant. And then I look at the Chargers, who added not 1 but 2 running backs, and they want to run the football. And what we know about Mr. Harbaugh, he wants to run the football. We've been wish casting this Justin Herbert thing year after year after year after year.
No.
And again this year, we're going to wish cast Justin Herbert to be the 5,000-yard passer that's going to elevate Mike Williams and Quentin Johnston. And I love me some Ladd McConkey, yes. But he's not returning to that 2021 statistic that you're showing on the screen right now. 672 pass attempts.
There's no wish cast.
Not happening.
This is not happening.
Not happening. Gone. Those are
not
yesteryear. That's history.
Gone.
Those are in the history books.
He
Remember
didn't
those
have Ladd
magazines that came
McConkey
out
then. He
in
didn't
the
have his
spring of
offensive line
2022?
then.
Huh?
He didn't have an offensive line like he has now. He didn't have Ladd McConkey back then.
The awesome thing about he had Keenan Allen. He had prime Keenan Allen.
I don't know. Ladd McConkey's a more explosive version of Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't say it.
More explosive version of Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey. Will he get to 699 pass attempts? No.
Hell
could
no.
he be more efficient? Like he was more efficient last year than he was in any year, and he ran more last year than he's ran before. He just had, a highly randomized 23 passing touchdowns, which was essentially the lowest you could possibly project, given 3,870 yards with those weapons. I mean, this guy, he could easily hit 30 touchdowns this year.
No.
I think Herbert's a guy I really want in Dynasty. See, this is
Really?
the fun thing. This is the fun thing. Yeah, sometimes you're like you're talking about all the weapons all the time, yada yada, and it's like, wait a second, why don't I have more of this guy in Dynasty? This is a guy I want. I always talk about. Well, I like to take the discount on Purdy, pay up a little bit more. Herbert, if you have Herbert and Purdy as your quarterbacks in Superflex, I mean that's a lot to invest. But you're set for life pretty much.
Yeah. Mediocrity. You're not going to get any, tier 1 output. You're not going to get anywhere near the Josh. I mean, you talk about breaking fantasy. Justin Herbert's never going to touch Josh Allen. He's never going to touch Jaden Daniels.
He's 6'6", 235 pounds. He has a 5,000 passing yard season on his resume, and he has multiple 300 rushing yard seasons with a bunch of rushing touchdowns in these seasons, and he's only 27 years old. He's just now hitting his prime. The age apex for quarterback is age 28. That's when they peak. So he is hitting his peak. Meanwhile, Kyler Murray is post-peak. Does anyone in the chat let's ask the chat. Respond, please. Please write it in the chat if you're listening to this on Twitter X, YouTube, wherever you're consuming the show, wherever you're watching. Let us know. Please reply. Is Kyler Murray past his prime? Or are there better days ahead for See how ridiculous you sound? There might be better days ahead because of all the continuity in Arizona. Better days ahead. I think we've given Kyler Murray enough chances for there to potentially be better days ahead that we now know there's not going to be better days ahead.
I think the opposite. I think that when you say Justin Herbert, I say Kyler Murray. When you say Justin Herbert has a 5,000-yard season on his resume, I say Kyler Murray has one coming. When I have literally highlighted a name to talk about today for ADP value, Mr. Kyler Murray, who's ranked 34th for me in Superflex and 43rd in the ADP tracker in Superflex. Kyler Murray is that guy, not Justin Herbert, not the guy, like I just said, that, yes, he has a better offensive line. Yes, he has a 5,000-yard passing season way back there, like 5 years ago, right? 5 years ago. He's had 25, 20, and 23 passing touchdowns the last 3 years. And guess who's now on his offense? 2 running backs that checks notes. Omari and Hampton, back-to-back 1,500-yard seasons at North Carolina with double-digit touchdowns. And checks notes Najee Harris, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons rushing the football in Pittsburgh. If that's not the recipe for running the football behind Joe Walton, Rashawn Slater for north of 10 touchdowns apiece, disallowing Justin Herbert to get anywhere near 30, because, to get to 30, you have to throw touchdowns to somebody. And I know Ladd McConkey can't catch 30. Okay. I don't know if Mike Williams can catch 5. I'm pretty damn sure Quentin Johnston can't catch 5.
I feel bad for Justin Herbert. He's had to deal with all these dusty receivers. Finally gets Ladd McConkey. Finally has a Ladd McConkey who is a seasoned professional, no longer a rookie. This is going to be a real treat for him this year. It's going to be a real treat for Justin Herbert. And to me, in single quarterback leagues, he is the quarterback I'm hoarding. I've decided. My quarterback to hoard in Superflex and 2QB, and I've said this on many shows, it's not changing, is Brock Purdy for sure. And in single quarterback, because I want that extra rushing upside in single quarterback leagues, you need it. It's going to be Justin Herbert. Meanwhile, yours is Kyler Murray. The chat has spoken. It's essentially just a rout in the comments. Kyler Murray has become a punchline in our comments, and it's all about Justin Herbert. And we're going to get into more ADPs that we're tracking, but primarily Superflex. I want to see where Herbert's going, where Purdy's going, where Murray's going in Superflex. After we talk about Dynasty Deluxe, because we've talked about Dynasty Deluxe, we have this ADP tracker. I'll lay it all out for you right now, exactly what you get with Dynasty Deluxe and why you should subscribe. If you play in Dynasty, you need Dynasty Deluxe, our premium package for Dynasty Leaguers. We rank over 300 players, updated every week, all year long. And there's a win now mode and a rebuild mode with Superflex and tight end premium controls. and a Dynasty League sync, where you can say, sync down all of my sleeper teams, all my FFPC teams, and then you can browse around your leagues for who has needs, and then you can use our trade finder to see what kinds of trades are happening in leagues that are similar to the one I want to do. Then you can analyze trades using our trade analyzer, which balances the lifetime value, which includes pick values out to like 2028. All of that plus the rookie guide $25 value is included. So if you're just in one Dynasty League, Dynasty Deluxe is well worth it. And use your host's promo code, and you can bump up to All In and get $25 off. Actually, the promo code is DAD. The promo code through Father's Day is DAD, and it's not $25 off. It's $50 off for the All In package, which includes Dynasty Deluxe. Of course it does. So now, pulling up the ADP tracker and toggling over to Superflex, as promised. We can only spend so much time on single quarterback. We made the decision. It's all about Justin Herbert. That's who you're hoarding there. And we'll get into some sleepers, and we'll talk sleepers in the context of both single quarterback and Superflex as we go along here. No surprise. Sleeper Dynasty Leagues, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. That's in the top 5. Then you get Jamar Chase sprinkled in, Jefferson sprinkled in, Bijan sprinkled in, with some Jalen Hurts at 7. You've got Mahomes at 13. And then you've got Herbert at 21. Herbert at 21. So, yes, you have to use a late first rounder on Herbert. That's a little rich for me. I don't love it. I think I'd rather take the stud running back or receiver in the second round and wait on quarterback and focus on drafting Herbert in my single quarterback dynasty leagues.
What about the quarterback that's right below him? Or 3 spots below him on the ADP tracker, Bo Nix. Like, same division. We've been talking about this division, but this is a guy that had 430 rushing yards as a rookie, more than 125 more than Justin Herbert has had any year of his career. And he's attached to Sean Payton, and he's got Cortland Sutton, who was one of the most efficient, most reliable players last year at the wide receiver position as far as boom bust goes. He boomed 25% of the time, and he busted hardly ever as far as bust is minus 10 points and boom is 20 plus points using the monsters and bust tool at rosterwatch.com. But that's attached to Bo Nix. He's got a backfield to RJ Harvey now and J.K. Dobbins that they paid $5 million to. Bo Nix is a guy that I got 9 spots, better than his ADP, which is 26. I got him at 17, ahead of Drake May, ahead of your boy Justin Herbert, ahead of my guy Kyler Murray. And Bo's one that, like, right now in Dynasty, like, I'll spend that late second, early third round pick on Bo Nix every single time. I think that's a great, I'm not sure if he'll be able to ever get up to QB 1 or 2 in a given season. I'm not sure he's quite got the upside from a passing touchdowns perspective in that offense. I think there's just too much running back centric movement in a Sean Payton offense to really allow a quarterback to get all the way up there when you're not, a Drew Brees. I don't even know if Drew Brees ever got really up there to, in that day and age. I guess it was a little bit different, but I look at Bo Nix. I see some value in Bo Nix at age 25.
I think he's dramatically overrated at that particular ADP. I think that's gross. I think that's disgusting. Really? I think that entire range of player, other than Drake May, because I think Drake May is the one guy that has that Justin Herbert plus level upside where he can be like Justin Herbert, only even more rushing yards year in, year out, kind of a combination of, if you had like a Franken-comp of Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, that could be Drake May. So the upside on a Drake May is that good, where drafting him at the 2-3 turn in Superflex, I think, makes some sense. According to our rankings, just going off our rankings, that's what you would do. Just going off the Superflex rankings, and I think that's a sound strategy. I think, to me, I like to wait. That's the one that would tempt me. But Nix, Stroud, they go Stroud, right after. Yeah, they go Caleb Williams, Nick Stroud, all in that same tier. Looking at again, sleeper, super flex, 2 quarterback ADPs. I think that's absolutely disgusting. I don't want any part of that. When you scroll down, you get to player 43, and that's your man, Kyler Murray. So
I think
at 43,
like I said,
Kyler Murray, that's a perfectly fine value. I'm happy to take him there. I'm happy. I would probably take someone like Rashee Rice there first. That would be my instinct. Rashee Rice, T. Higgins over, but they're same tier. Looking at lifetime values, same tier. Baker Mayfield's in that tier, which I don't agree with. And then Brock Purdy's actually below them, below even like a Jordan Love. The ceiling is actually higher with Purdy than Jordan Love and even Baker Mayfield, and the floor is a lot higher too. So it's a higher floor and higher ceiling for Brock Purdy. That makes no sense. I would even argue that with J.J. McCarthy, the floor and ceiling are higher as well, because the floor is so high with him with his weapons that I was talking about this on previous shows, that if I was set up to be drafting in Superflex 2 QB leagues in the late 4th, I would try to get it, or anywhere in the 4th round, really. I would try to set it up where I could get Purdy and J.J. McCarthy. Because Purdy, it's like, okay, I have minimized the risk. Now with Purdy, I'm adding a little bit of risk with my QB2, but it could be a boom. He was so efficient, over 9 yards per attempt in college, just didn't have a lot of receivers and wasn't asked to do a lot, except win the national championship. Has size, has athleticism, has an incredible supporting cast. We just haven't seen it yet. He's going to continue to get bid up and bid up. I think over the summer, too. You need the guy to hoard right now is J.J. McCarthy. Before a lot of these positive reports start coming out, they're already starting, but there's going to be more when training camp is fully underway and preseason starts, and you start to really hear the touts around Minnesota come out. You're going to want to get out ahead of that in Dynasty.
Purdy and JT. So Purdy's at 51, JT's at 56. I don't hate that. I say JT, I meant JJ. I think I would much rather be in that. I think Kyler and Bo Nix is just a much better. You got to pay 2 rounds better. I guess that puts you more at other positions down into like a Roma Dunze category at receiver. You still maybe come away with Tyler Warren. You still maybe come away with Quinshon Judkins, Christian McCaffrey's of the world at the running back and receiver and tight end positions. I think I'd rather pay up 2 rounds personally to get Kyler and Bo Nix. Kyler attached to that offense with a Marv, and Bo Nix attached to a Sean Payton that I almost misspoke earlier. Drew Brees did have top 5 finishes in fantasy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years in a row in Sean Payton's offense in New Orleans.
What? What?
2006 until 2016.
Unbelievable.
I don't know. I must have counted way too quick there, but still a decade.
Unbelievable. I don't think it was that many, but amazing. Pat, that's amazing. By the way, Bryce Young is going at player 77 off the board, and I love that value. Him and Dak Prescott as a potential 3rd quarterback. And
do you have Kyler? Do you have Bryce ahead of Dak?
That is a good question. We have Dak like 30 lifetime value points ahead of Bryce Young, but they're adjacent. So Dak's actually an incredible value. He's another quarterback to hoard in Superflex and 2 QB leagues, as is Michael Penix. I can't believe Penix and Caleb are not closer. Caleb's quite a bit out ahead in the ADPs, like a full round or more to Caleb. And it's like, well, wait a second. These guys were similar prospects, drafted with similar draft capital, a few picks away, similar skill sets. One's a little bit more of a feel-based. One's a little more of like a prototypical quarterback. Penix is more prototypical. Caleb is much more of an improvisational quarterback. I would say, yeah, it's like one, Caleb is the Rodgers, Penix is the Brady, right? Type, but still, like all Penix did was deliver in a very small window of time. He didn't do anything to dissuade you away from him, and yet Caleb disappointed. I think they should be equal. I think they should be about the same. Do you see a big difference?
I think you're right, and I also want to add in McCarthy into that. In that, like, McCarthy literally didn't play football last year, obviously because of Sam Darnold. But Penix, I guess to me felt like he played more than he did. Played in 3 games at 105 pass attempts, 775 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. Felt like he played more than he did. And he's going off 65th. JJ's going off 56th. Caleb's going off 23rd. Drake May, of course, is in there, but he played a lot more. And I think when you look at, like, even just Penix and JJ, I want Penix. Everyone's talking about JJ McCarthy. It doesn't feel like there's really any hive right now, dynasty, seasonal, anything around Michael Penix. And it's like, sure, they had Kyle Pitts was on the trade conversation to Pittsburgh. I don't know how much I believe that last week. They got Drake London, who I've talked to a lot of very smart people in Dynasty that they think that this is the year Drake London really establishes himself as a top 5 receiver this year, which I think is a little hot, but I get it. Bijan Robinson right up there as far as seasonal and like the first one
that's
or two.
Oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. That's actually my favorite 1-2 pick in Superflex and 2 QB leagues is Bijan London.
Fire.
Just stacking Falcons with my first 2 picks. I want it, like, I'm an Atlanta fan because in startups, I think that's what you do. You go Bijan London and you lock up that offense. That's like all the points from that offense. Fuck Kyle Pitts. Let's go. This is such a 20 plus fantasy points per year, per game year for London. I mean, everything is lining up perfectly for this guy. I mean, last year, remember, his quarterback had just come back from an Achilles tear, couldn't push off. Shit. So he did what he did last year with a quarterback that couldn't push off. Think about that.
Yeah. I couldn't. I mean, that Kirk Cousins thing last year was just, and then he had this big game against Tampa late in the year. I just hopefully he just leaves. Get out of there. Leave Michael Penix.
No. I just see this is dude. You're sounding like a common fan right now. Shame on you. You're sounding like a common fan. No, you don't want to say that. No, this is actually an incredible opportunity, a buying opportunity on London because of that. But also,
of course,
wherever Cousins goes, he's going to be undervalued and his weapons will be undervalued. Everyone's going to be fading the hell out of his weapons wherever he goes. If he lands somewhere, he's going to be inordinately, disproportionately punished for having been playing too early, playing before he was really ready to play last year. They forced him to be, he's like, I took the money, and listen, Kirk Cousins, you know Kirk Cousins. You've been following the Vikings very closely for many years. You understand. This is a ride or die type player.
Mm-hmm.
He feels loyal, even though he's a mercenary. He feels a lot of loyalty, and if you hire, he's the perfect mercenary because if you hire him, he will break your back. He will break his back for you. And he did that with Atlanta to his own detriment. They forced him out there on one leg. And now wherever he lands, he's going to finally have a full off season. He's going to be healthy. He's many years younger than Aaron Rodgers. Like, I think that he could be a real value. People are talking about they're talking about Joe Flacco, the Joe Flacco effect in Cleveland, talking about the Daniel Jones effect in Indianapolis. Get out of here. The Kirk Cousins effect.
Where?
Right? Wherever he lands. There's going to be a positive bump in production, and there's actually going to be a negative sentiment around those weapons. And I think it's a perfect recipe for a buying opportunity. If he lands somewhere and everyone's like, ew, that's when you move in and you buy.
Just the Miami, New Orleans, first 2 things that came to my mind.
Yeah, Miami. When he goes to Miami, you got to get Waddle. The moment he goes to Miami, if there's an injury to Tua and they sign him, boom, you got to jump in immediately. I'm looking at the ADP tracker right now. Guess who the best value is? According to the ADP tracker, the wide receivers across the board, this is no surprise, right? You all know that we focus on the right details at PlayerProfiler. And of course, we're going to be more bullish on the quality wide receivers than the public, because the public just can't get out. They can't get out ahead enough on these receivers, and they get too tempted to draft these quarterbacks and the tight ends and even some of these running backs, these dusty running backs, or these running backs that are actually set up to fail, like a Kyron Williams. They get way out over their skis on a guy like Kyron Williams, and it's embarrassing. Like, I was looking at the ADPs, some of the players that are going behind Kyron Williams are Rashee Rice.
Love.
Okay, like what? Rome Odunze? This is not right. Like, how, what? I can't believe this. Even like, if you're going to go running back, go Chase Brown there. You chase that rainbow with Chase Brown. You don't go Kyron Williams. Get gross. Get out of here. So you don't want to do that. But it's these wide receivers like Brandon Ayuk still has upside, big time upside. He's not that old. He's just not going to be 100% to start the season. But you can get an incredible discount on him looking at the ADP. He's going at player 94 in these sleeper 2QB and Superflex leagues, where we have him significantly ahead in the rankings. And the same is true with Jalen Waddle. He's going at player 83. We have them at a similar place. So, I mean, that to me is like everyone instantly. I can't remember the last time people forgot about a guy's entire career and all his entire body of work was just lit on fire, and the ashes were thrown into the garbage can like Jalen Waddle. Did you really think that photo of him was real? That was a lineman wearing his jersey. That wasn't real. Okay, he's in great shape. He's going to have a good season. Like, he's a receiver who is, by definition of the position that he plays, volatile, and he had a disappointing season, as every receiver has. Randy Moss has had disappointing seasons. Every receiver's had a disappointing season. Terrell Owens, they've all had disappointing seasons. Get over it.
Except Mike Evans.
Except Mike Evans and maybe Jerry Rice, maybe Marvin Harrison. But again, most receivers. Even Larry Fitzgerald had like multiple in a row.
Yep.
So get out of here, man. It happens. So yeah, Kirk Cousins goes to Miami. Oh my God. Jalen Waddle, insta-buy. Jalen Waddle's a buy now. You got to get Jalen Waddle now. And then the thing is, you'll have another opportunity when they sign Cousins, because people will think that that's a fade or that's a reason to sell, and it's not. It's the opposite. God, Kirk Cousins, massive upgrade over Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, unbelievable. Just by the sheer reason that his balls are easier to catch. He's right-handed, so his balls don't go through your hands as easily. They don't. I'm telling you, Tua throws a slippery ball because it has the opposite spin.
I will say that the idea of Jalen Waddle, I know this is a hypothetical we're talking right now, but the idea of Jalen Waddle playing with Kirk Cousins is like you said, I've watched a lot of Minnesota Viking football. It's like, that's like a superior Adam Thielen with Kirk Cousins. And you go back to the years with Adam Thielen with Kirk Cousins, back-to-back years, 142 targets, 153 targets, 300 targets almost in 2 seasons for Adam Thielen under Kirk Cousins. Like, that was his guy. That was his bread and butter. That was 2,600 yards and 13 touchdowns. So I understand. I can get behind the Kirk Cousins thing. Definitely didn't think that was where we were going to be going with this show or conversation, but the Jalen Waddle side of it, regardless.
You said the thing. You said that we all do it, man. We all fall for it. We all fall. This guy burned me last year, or this guy just feels gross. We all fall for these traps. We're human. These are biases that happen. This is ridiculous what I'm looking at right now. Look at this ADP. Look at this Dynasty ADP. Again, this is Superflex 2QB leagues on Josh Downs. Get out of here. Look at that. That is just unbelievable. People are drafting James Conner over Josh Downs. What?
Wait. You're in on Josh Downs?
Who's not? Should I not be?
I mean, he's a pass catcher in Indianapolis.
Well, I'm assuming it's going to be Daniel Jones. And this is Dynasty. He's just a very good player. He's a very good football player, and it's Dynasty, and he's young. I mean, this is the thing. At some point, you can't be like, oh, there's 5 games with Anthony Richardson I got to worry about. No, this is Dynasty, bro. This is Dynasty. That's why we're more bullish on Josh Downs than even Chris Godwin. Right?
Really?
And then there's guys that haven't done anything, and there's no reason to think they're going to do anything, like Keon Coleman.
Hey,
how are these guys in the same tier? How is Keon Coleman in the same tier as Khalil Shakir? Khalil Shakir, can catch passes and produce fantasy points. We don't have no evidence of this from Keon Coleman.
Hey, that's heavy-handed right there. Keon Coleman to Josh Downs, like. I can get back. So I just found out for myself. I didn't look at Josh Downs respectfully. I don't even know what the hell word I was looking for right there. I haven't looked at Josh Downs specifically because he's not at the forefront of my mind as a targeted player, but I'm 13 spots ahead of ADP on Josh Downs. So I'm in a good place.
No, look at this though. I found the best value. And again, this is no surprise. This guy's also we've talked about him being an incredible value on Fast Draft. In the Flex 4 game, the All Flex, you draft 6 guys, the top 4 into your lineup every week, best ball style. It is the fastest, most fun. You can just draft whenever you feel like it. You get 5 minutes, do a draft. It doesn't have to be a big deal. Well, in the 6th round, you need to be drafting some Juwan Jennings. One of these does not belong. Look at all the lifetime values in this zone of like Deebo Samuel through Ramondre Stevenson in the ADPs. And you just have some players that are, like Jalen Milroe. Get out of here. Jake Ferguson. What are we doing? Who is drafting Jake Ferguson? Who are these people? They're bidding up. They're bidding up a backup tight end in Dynasty over the guy that led the league in air yards, Calvin Ridley, last year. Like, that's just ridiculous. But look at Juwan Jennings. This is the ultimate. This is it. This is it. This is the moment in the show's history where we have definitive proof that the fantasy public, and is partly they're led there by fantasy analysts, dynasty analysts are part of the problem here, overvaluing draft capital. This guy was drafted in the 7th round, and therefore he's worthless. Look at that. The Juwan Jennings fade, Juwan Jennings hate is embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for every fantasy gamer because this is sleeper. These are sleeper ADPs. This is the vast majority of people that are playing in Dynasty are now playing on sleeper. Where are the places you play? You play on Sleeper. You play on My Fantasy League. You play on, Flea Flicker. There's not that many places to play. FFPC, certainly. But those are, big money Dynasty leagues. Some of them are under $100 buy-in. But a lot of them are, big money. So not everyone can play in those. But most people can play in, you can at least find a, $35 league on the FFPC. The difference is FFPC, there's a major cut down. You have to cut down all the way to 16. So when we're in this area, it's not apples to apples when we're looking at FFPC. But that's it. There's not that many places where a lot of people play Dynasty. And certainly Sleeper is going to have the most leagues at this point. It's the most prevalent app. What is happening? I can't. This is egregious. Can you explain this?
That whole area is disgusting. I'll just start with that. Jennings, I've gotten there. I've listened to some of your thoughts on Jennings. He is, for all intents and purposes, I've done the dog rating, and this year I didn't get enough players in, so I didn't publish it. But I've been doing that since 2020, and Juwan Jennings was the original dog. I posted a video of him on X. I just retweeted it right now as you were talking. He's the original dog, and this is how you tell that story. Is a guy like this that was drafted late and has been counted out, has been looked at as the wide receiver 4, the wide receiver 5, and you have, guys like Brandon Ayuk, all these other guys like Deebo Samuel, these drama kings, not drama queens, drama kings. And you have a Juwan Jennings with his head down. Kyle Shanahan loves this guy, right? Shanahan. This is the guy that is not in the doghouse because he's the one that's he's the one that you hear is in that wide receiver room leading the room. Can I tell you, this is early in my draft analysis era. Can I tell you the player that I compared Juwan Jennings to coming out?
Please. Jerry Rice.
You're not far off. 6'3", 224 pounds. Jennings was 6'3", 215 pounds. Draft age, Terrell Owens, 22.4.
Terrell Owens.
Jennings, 22.8. 4'7", 240 for Jennings, 4'6", for Terrell Owens. Vertical, 29 versus 33. And it wasn't just about like the metrics and stuff. If you look at him in college, the play style is eerily crazy. I said he's a poor man's Terrell Owens. Now, again, wrong, but he's breaking out in San Francisco.
Wait, so why aren't you going nuts about Jennings? You should be Mr. Jennings. You should have a Jennings jersey.
Maybe I should. But
yeah, you need to lean into this. As a content creator, you need to lean in. People need to know. You need to self-identify as like, I'm Juwan Jennings' #1 fan.
Well,
Any touchdown that Juwan Jennings scores, I score.
Well, I wouldn't have scored very many touchdowns in my life.
Wait, dude, you don't see it coming this year? This is the big monster year for Jennings.
I don't know about monster. Like, I think he can be good. I think what he did last year can be what he can do this year. I don't foresee Jennings having some... If you don't think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to beat you, how the hell can you convince yourself that Juwan Jennings is going to win?
Because Purdy...
Win you anything? Huh?
Because Purdy is a quarterback that can absolutely hit 5,000 yards and feed an outside receiver. And get that out and fuel an outside receiver. He has that accuracy to the boundary is night and day between these two players.
When did Purdy become Brady?
Yeah, that is the comp. I mean, think about it. 7th round pick, San Francisco. Like that's the team Brady wanted to go to. He wanted to stay home. He wanted to go to San Francisco. I mean, this is similar game. No athleticism, pocket passer, just a buttery delivery of footballs in a good way.
Brady was never injured this much.
Oh, come on, dude. Come on. They paid him. They finally broke down and decided we have to pay this guy. You should be leaning in, man. You should be leaning into this Juwan Jennings. I can't believe this is a huge opportunity you're missing out on.
I understand. What do we... But
we all should be hoarding Jennings. Jennings, this is another guy. We talked about this. What guys are we hoarding right now in Dynasty before training camp starts and before the horses are out of the barn? It's Jennings. Brandon Ayuk lands on the pup. All these things are going to happen. It's all going to snowball. And suddenly Jennings, that wet rope is going to slip through your hands.
So what are you doing then with the Ricky Pearsall thought? And you said Brandon Ayuk's a value. I agree. Brandon Ayuk's going to become a value. He's 7 months post ACL right now. He'll be 9 months post ACL when camp is happening. He'll be 10 months post ACL when the season kicks off.
You can get Ayuk in
September.
early September. Don't worry about draft. You don't have to worry about drafting him now or trading for him now.
Drafting Ayuk. It's about the idea that by week 4 he's going to be 11 months post ACL. He's going to be back in the lineup. And Ricky Pearsall's there, and Kittle's there. And as much as I think McCaffrey is a dust ball, like McCaffrey's still there.
McCaffrey's a dust ball.
What, you in on McCaffrey now? Are you and Alex in on McCaffrey together now? Jumping
yes. Who's not in on McCaffrey? I've been pounding the table. The Flex 4 game on Fast Draft. It's still very exploitable. The last draft I saw go off, Genty went at pick 11, which is the 201, 10-team leagues, and McCaffrey went at player 15. So, oh, McCaffrey's now a first-round pick. Those days are over. Wrong. Not on Fast Draft where there's 10,000 to first. Oh, no. Oh, no. You can still go. Genty McCaffrey is still a set of picks, a 1-2 punch that you can do at the 1-2 turn. If you have the 110, you can do that. Now, most people don't. Most people I look up, and they're going Nico Collins and Devon Achane or Genty Collins, okay? And they're really missing out on an incredible opportunity at a guy with 25 fantasy points per game upside in McCaffrey and Genty, who, I mean, could be one of the great rookie running backs of all time. Again, in that division, AFC West, there's going to be fireworks. There's not a game that's going to be going on in that division where you're like, oh, no, yeah, that's not going to be a competitive game. You know the Raiders are they're going to be very frisky. The Raiders are going to be very frisky, and everyone's talking about the Broncos right now.
So let me get this right. McCaffrey's going to hit. Purdy, who hasn't played 17 games, he hasn't even played 14 games in a season. 10, 13, 12, 13. Purdy's going to hit 5,000 yards. Jennings is going to crush.
Well, Jennings, his upside is really touchdown fueled. Like he could get to say 12 touchdowns. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I can get behind that. So
yeah, that's the whole thing with him. The whole thing with him is like he and Kittle are going to be their red zone weapons. He's just very, very good. You've seen this every few years. A guy that's in his later 20s finally breaks out after grinding and being a dog and being in the building at 5 a.m. and always participating in meetings and always being in the right place at the right time.
Yep.
And then they finally start throwing to him in these key situations, and now he's squeezing the football. But this is like a 4-year process to get to this point if you're a 7th-round pick in the NFL.
It has to be like I just talked about Adam Thielen. That's literally the Adam Thielen career arc was year 3, 900 yards, 5 touchdowns. Year 4, that's when he gets matched up with Kirk and he goes for 142 targets, 1,200 yards, 4 touchdowns again the next year. And that's age 27, 28. That's what Jennings has to do. Now he's a year older in that situation, but he's still age 28 season. I get it. I can see it. I'm just playing devil's advocate in the fact that I think McCaffrey should be more of a 2-3 turn, not a 1-2 turn guy. I think that George Kittle is a value right now in all formats. I think you look at Ricky Pearsall. Nobody's talking about Ricky Pearsall right now.
Nobody's talking about Ricky
Pearsall.
Back in week 4. People in the chat like, why are we even talking about Jennings? I'm all about Pearsall. And it's like, well, wait a second.
The people in the chat are smart. The people on X are stupid. Everyone's talking on X about Jennings. You're talking about Jennings, right? Like that's. I just have the question.
Wait. X is talking about Jennings. People on X are all about Jennings.
Yeah, I just retweeted a video.
Oh, you're the guy on X. You're talking about yourself.
The newest tweet on my.
You're the new.
On my feed
yeah.
is now Jennings.
Yeah, you're the new. I think. I think that would be a very cool thing if all the best ball bros were finally in on Jennings and he was the guy everyone was talking about like a month from now. I would be so proud. I'd feel so good about that. I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll see. I think for now, everyone that's listening to this show, just the very small 1,500 live viewers, the tiny little group of people, they're the ones that are going to be able to cash in on this Jennings, which is it is. I would say Juwan Jennings right now, if you look at his Dynasty ADP and his best ball ADP and also his FFPC main event ADP, he is a top 5, sort of, I think, league winning value in my lifetime in this business.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you're out on Keon Coleman.
Okay, so players that are not like a career defining value at ADP, Keon Coleman's not that guy. Okay. No. Not sorry.
So you don't want to attach it. I just want to make sure I'm like in the right ballpark, right conversation. You don't want to attach yourself to a guy that has been the top 5 fantasy quarterback 5 years in a row. Throws the ball 600 times, even if it's cold weather. Throwing the ball for more than 4,300 yards 4 years out of the last 5. Is willing to continue to press the football to his receivers. Mainly the guy that's name is Keon Coleman and was the first pick in the draft in the second round last year. Similarly to Juwan Jennings, ran a 4.61. Juwan Jennings ran a 4.72. And Keon Coleman averaged 19.2 yards per reception. I understand he had dropped some footballs. I was there firsthand in training camp last year watching him against Pittsburgh in the third week of training camp struggle. And it was clear that the problem was connection. And we hear that often. I know this might be a cliche or an excuse, but when you're a rookie, as everybody knows, you roll over from season to pre-draft process, combine, draft, training camp, boom, 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 boom. It just all happens. And there's not a lot of time to create an established connection. And, especially that's tough on guys like Juwan Jennings, who were late round picks. And that's kind of why they take 4 years. But guys that are drafted in the second round, very high end, prospects that are targeted a lot, even when they're dropping footballs. Number 1 target quality rating for Keon Coleman this past year. Number 8 in ADOT this past year. And a guy, like I said, averaged 19 yards per reception, almost 900 air yards in that Buffalo offense. This is an athlete. This is a prospect. This is a player. I mean, as far as value goes, he's going off the board, what year? 117?
Okay.
Listen. I got him at, listen to this. Ready for this one? I'm taking heat from Trash Man. I've taken heat from Alex. I'm
Mr.
care.
Trash Man. I'm in Trash Man's corner.
I will stand at the top of the Teton Pass. Keon Coleman, I got him at 68 right now in Dynasty.
Player 68?
68 overall player in Superflex Dynasty Fantasy Football.
All right. You're a madman. Okay, so my larger point is this. You don't need to take chances. Look at these ADPs right now. This is just a snippet. This is just like a snapshot of 12 players from player 125 to player 140 in Dynasty, Superflex, and 2QB leagues. This says it all. This is all you need to know, that Michael Pittman is there at 125, that Debo, where he's going to have one big year left, he has one last ride, one last job, right? Debo is heat, right? Debo Heat Samuel, one final job this year, and then he's dust. He's going to be dust. I mean, he's going to have one big fantasy year, and then you won't hear from him for the rest. It'll be done. But this is the last year. Number 1 air yards receiver last year, Calvin Ridley. They're all right there. And then you have Juwan Jennings. They're all in this zone. You don't need to take chances on Ricky Pearsall. You don't need to project. That's the whole thing about Dynasty. You don't need to make any projections. This was the biggest mistake I made for years in my Dynasty career, was projecting, particularly projecting young receivers that had not yet produced. You don't need, even Jacoby Myers is in here. You don't need to take those chances. Jacoby Myers just got an offense upgrade, a quarterback upgrade, and he's not 30. He's going to be a quality player this year. This page, what I'm showing you, what's up on the screen right now, all these receivers I've listed, and that doesn't even count like Josh Downs, who's a couple slots away, same zone, good players that are proven. You don't need to take those kind of chances and light these picks on fire. It's the biggest mistake I used to make in Dynasty, and I stopped making that mistake. You take your 1 to 2 elite receivers very early, then you can wait until this zone, right? You can even get your third quarterback, for sure get your third quarterback, maybe even a fourth quarterback. And now this is where you want to pound receiver. This is the soft spot in the zone in Dynasty, especially Superflex and 2QB startups, where you can just mine value, go receiver, receiver, receiver in these rounds, round 10, 11, 12, 13. You're going to just lock it in, man. You're at least going to get 3 receivers you really like that you can start every week, and you don't have to take any chances.
That's a terrible area, but I do think that there's 2 good players within that range of 30 picks. I don't think Josh Downs is one. I do think Juwan Jennings is one. But I do want to sell you on the fact that your website, PlayerProfiler.com, puts in best comparable players during post-combine during the draft, right? Best comparable players.
Sure.
On the site. Very good at it, might I add.
Some of them are very creepy good.
Creepy good, including Keon Coleman. His comp is Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson, for those that may have forgotten, played in Jacksonville with a guy named Blake Bortles that was notorious for slinging that rock. And his rookie year, 81 targets, 48 receptions. Not good.
Sounds like
548 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Sounds a lot like Keon Coleman.
Keon Coleman, 57 targets, 29 receptions. Equally not good, about 50%. 556 yards, 4 touchdowns. The second year for Allen Robinson, mind you, they had, you can help me, Matt. Was it Marquise Lee? Gosh, that's an interesting one that I can tell myself a story. Kind of reminds me of Khalil Shakir.
Do you know the other receiver that was in 3 receiver sets? Again, my hands are up here. I'm not looking up anything right now.
Was it? It wasn't Cecil. Cecil was later, right?
No, I think that year.
Blackman?
That
it wasn't
year,
Blackman.
No, it was not Blackman. That year, I believe Allen Robinson had exactly 1,400 yards.
Yep. The next year.
Again, my hands are up here. I'm not looking anything up. And the other receiver in 3 receiver sets was the undrafted Miami grad or receiver. No one really graduates, do they? Allen Hurns.
Yes. Nails.
Allen Hurns.
So, Josh Palmer, Allen Hurns. Meet your comp.
That's a great comp. So
here's the point, though.
I'm with you that this is all a great story. This is a great narrative. And again, I constructed suboptimal dynasty teams reading this narrative to myself at night for many years.
I'm just telling you, I'm going to take him in the 10th round. I might even take Juwan in the 11th round, but I'll make a heads-up bet with you right now that Keon Coleman outproduces Juwan Jennings by 2 full high school tracks.
In this book, we talk about doubling up on receivers, doubling up on running backs on the same team. I have no problem with going Ayuk, Jennings, Pearsall. You can get them all. Do it. Please do it, especially if it's the right offense with the right quarterback that just signed a big contract, who you know is not going to be siphoning any dropbacks out of the offense with rushing, not going to be super inaccurate throwing to the perimeter. Who am I talking about? I wonder who I'm talking about in Arizona. I wonder who I'm talking about there. There was one player that wasn't a receiver in that zone that I wanted to mention who would tempt me, and I think that it's fine. I don't think you have to go receiver in that area of a dynasty startup. I think you can absolutely. There's one guy that, if it's a rookie running back that you like, I think green light, because I saw Tootin in that area too, and there was I think now when you have the fumble narrative, it's not really a narrative. There's reports of fumbling, which is concerning, legitimate concerns, where you know you're getting a discount on that player for now, right? He's going late second in rookie drafts. He should be going early second in rookie drafts. See how much Tootin you can get before the only discussion about him is the fumbling and the ball security. At some point, it's going to be about the 50-yard run that he had in preseason, and then everything's going to flip. It's not going to take long for the narrative to flip on Tootin, and you want to be able to hoard him in Dynasty as long as you can. And it's clear, based on when we're looking at, there's actually 3 players in that zone that our rankings say to hoard based on their ADP, their sleeper ADP, vis-a-vis our lifetime value rating on Player Profiler's Dynasty Deluxe, which is the best Dynasty rankings that have ever been. It's Tootin, it's Jennings, and the third one is Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford in Superflex is a steal right now. I love it. I love it. That's what I'm talking about. Your 4th quarterback, can you imagine? Your 4th quarterback in Superflex is Matthew Stafford. That feels good, man. That feels really good.
I'd be good with him as my 3rd quarterback.
I'd be fine with him as my 3rd quarter. I mean, me too. I'd be fine. I think it's a great 3rd quarterback option. Basically, if you don't have a 3rd quarterback, you can't let Matthew Stafford get past you. Yeah. But I also like getting a 4th quarterback, because if you draft a 4th quarterback and there's the opportunity cost is, let's assume that Juwan Jennings is off the board. The opportunity cost maybe is a Deebo Samuel or Jacoby Myers. That's something I can live with, knowing that when the bullets start flying during the season, Stafford is going to be more valuable in Superflex and 2 QB leagues.
By natural process, would this then mean you're content playing Devontae Adams in Dynasty, owning Devontae Adams in Dynasty? I mean, if you already have him, you just you can't really get off of him. But he said today or yesterday during mini camps that he feels rejuvenated in Los Angeles. No. This is obviously a boost in how Cooper Kupp has looked the last year.
Well, he obviously hasn't been spending any time downtown.
I hope not.
But yeah, I mean, I think that the problem is the average Dynasty leaguer, especially a new Dynasty leaguer, you'll see that's like where the Saquon ADP comes from. I guarantee these aren't seasoned veteran Dynasty players that are drafting Saquon there. He's probably going to go where he should go in Dynasty, just because you're going to get someone who's like only focused on playing for this year, and then that tends to elevate the ADP of players like a Devontae Adams. I think that Cortland Sutton's actually a better value. Based on the ADP, when I'm looking at the ADP tracker, Cortland Sutton goes after Devontae Adams, and I would rather have Cortland Sutton in Dynasty. If I'm going to win now, I would, if you toggle over to win now on the Player Profiler Dynasty rankings, Adams would move ahead. But in neutral or rebuild mode, Cortland Sutton is ahead. And I like Cortland Sutton there. The one player that I'm unsure of, so when I look at all these lifetime values juxtaposed with the ADPs, I feel so good about our rankings. The one guy that makes me pause that I did not mention because I'm feeling a little insecure about it is Jaden Reed.
I don't know what the hell to do with Jaden Reed.
I don't know what the hell to do with Jaden Reed.
Scares me.
Because
I think that they're going to give Wicks opportunities this year. And obviously they have to give Matthew Golden opportunities. Both Watson and Dobbs feel like they are, inches, and I mean inches away from getting cut. I think Reed's going to probably be fine. But as far as like the dream of getting, the Deebo type output from him, I think the dream is over when you bring in a Matthew Golden. And they love Tucker Kraft. They like Luke Musgrave. They obviously have Josh Jacobs. There's a lot there. And Jaden Reed's role, similar to Deebo Samuel, I talked about this like last year, and you kind of like just look at how Green Bay's building that football team. it is like strikingly, eerily the same as how the San Francisco 49ers built that offense, except for the quarterback. Right, except for the quarterback. And the Packers, that's just a little bit different. But going out, putting the crown jewel, putting the running back on top, like they did with McCaffrey, they did it with Jacobs, they thought anyways. And then they go the next year and they go out and get a Ricky Pearsall. Packers go out and get a Matthew Golden, this guy that's just like deceptively really fast, wins in the SEC.
Huge mistake.
And the Reed and the Deebo Samuel role, it is so alluring, but it's like, for fantasy football, you just kind of sit there and you just kind of get cucked with the whole situation because you're like, there's so much here. It's like the Laviska Shenault thing. You're like, oh, Laviska Shenault is going to be so amazing. And it's like, yeah, but in the NFL, there's a role sometimes once every 6 weeks. And in fantasy football, there's nothing except for the fact that we're just sitting here looking down from the penthouse going, play him, put him in the game, let him score touchdowns, let him run the football, let him return punts, let him do everything. And they don't, or he's hurt, or it's just like, there's so much that has to go right for that type of player. And I think Jaden Reed's more than that type of player, but that's just kind of where he's been shoehorned in that offense. And I just don't know what the hell to do with him.
You lived through Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. And what do you have to show for it?
Nothing. Not a damn thing.
Not a damn thing, right? That's what you have to show for it. Not a damn thing. Was Matthew Golden necessarily in a vacuum a bad pick? No. What was bad and where the Packers have gone wrong is that they have misevaluated Jordan Love. That is the worst thing that you can do. If you misevaluate a player and mislabel him a franchise quarterback, a cornerstone player, and he's not up for that, he never was that, never will be that. I mean, how many 15-plus teams said this guy's not that? And then they think, oh, we did this with Aaron Rodgers, we can do it again. The league didn't know what they had with Aaron Rodgers, and they didn't know what they had with Jordan Love. Jordan Love was a hyper-erratic player at Utah State, and man, he had a big arm. But that's, you hit on that once with Josh Allen trying to do it again. I don't think so. Highly unlikely. And then we saw it in the second half last year. Things start to go wrong. It's okay. We still believe in him. The problem is not Jordan Love. We didn't give him enough weapons. Now we're going to invest a first-round pick in yet more weapons for him. And it's like you're doubling down. You're chasing good money after bad with a Jordan Love, where you could argue that the Saints, the Browns, the Giants, these teams are actually in a better position to win a championship at some point than the Packers. Because the Packers have essentially involuntarily walked into quarterback purgatory, and there's no way to rebuild this for many, many, many years. You have division rivals that are going to be crushing opponents in Detroit for years to come. Minnesota, if they hit on J.J. McCarthy, you're in trouble. If Caleb Williams takes a step forward this year, you're in trouble. Now you have the worst quarterback in the division. You just had to let Jair Alexander go. This is like, when I look at the Packers, I don't know what to think. This is a very scary situation, and I just don't want to invest in this team. I love Jaden Reed. I really like Jaden Reed. He's underrated. I want him in best ball for sure. I think he's super underrated. I think that the snap share is a concern. I don't think it's as much of a concern that it should depress his ADP as much as it is in Dynasty. He's still young. These rosters are typically deep enough where you can plug Jaden Reed into a flex position and you're not regretting it. You're just going to absorb the volatility and lean into the volatility week in, week out. So I really don't have a problem with Jaden Reed. I just think that, we've been so far out ahead of him for so many seasons, and it worked out. And then last year, he slightly disappointed. He didn't hit anything close to his upside, and it was more the usage that was concerning, and then the overall offense going run heavy exacerbated it. So if there's one player where I could tell you with, a straight face, honestly, I don't love our ranking of him, and I don't have a lot of confidence in where we have him. And so therefore I can't even say with any kind of certainty this player is a value based on ADP. I don't fucking know. What I do know is if you're a Packers fan, you're doomed. You better strap in, man. You better strap in. I mean, Vikings fans had to deal with a lot. They had to deal with a lot of Kirk Cousins, a lot of, Sam Darnolds and other quarterbacks before that, Nick Mullins. They've had to deal with a lot. And they're finally going to get their franchise winner quarterback. And I feel very good. But we're talking about a decade of struggle. That's what Packers fans are in for. And they don't even know it. And it's a little bit, it's like an eerie feeling I have around the Packers. Like they have no idea. Like I talk to Packers fans, they think they're going to be competitive this year. And it's like, oh, you have no idea, do you? You have no idea the pain you're in for in the next decade. Oof.
Like the one chord that strikes. I work for the Texas Longhorns, Orange Bloods, and stuff. I don't give a damn about Texas football. The one chord that you can strike with me is talking crap about the Packers and talking for the Vikings. It just does it for me. So it's like Christian Ponder. You want to keep going? Like we can go.
I know. I'm not kissing your ass at all. I'm just, this is, why would I earlier I was, I was challenging you in an almost condescending tone on some of your takes. Yeah. This is from the heart, my friend.
Yeah. No. And when you were down, I mean, do you remember being in Mobile and when Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts were both there?
Yes.
Who was the better quarterback that week?
Probably Jordan Love.
Was he really?
Yeah. Yeah. Jordan. Well, that's because Jalen Hurts was the worst quarterback there. Well, no, there was a guy, Steven Montez.
Yeah.
Is that a real player?
Yep.
Okay. So the way my brain works, like I don't know where, maybe it's real, maybe it's not. I think I remember his name. Alan Hearns. So yeah, it was like, okay, he was better than Montez, but because it's a drill-based event and he's not a drills quarterback, it's like Lamar Jackson was the worst quarterback in the history of Pro Bowl drills, and no one fucking cares. It's the same thing. Like, he couldn't look good. There's no scrambling. So it's like in these drills, Hurts is all of his leadership, scrambling ability, playmaking ability, super minimized. And what were they highlighting? How far you can throw the ball down the field, right? And they had a lot of burners like Devin Duvernay, guys with like sub 4.4 40s that were out there, and then there was also just big play receivers. It was Denzel Mims, it was Michael Pittman. There was a bunch of these guys, and they were just airing the ball. I just remember that it was an air show. The Blue Angels might have been there. Right, it was an air show. And so in that context, Jalen Hurts was just super underwhelming. And Jordan Love was clearly what he is. Very inconsistent, but he could at least push Justin Herbert. No one's Herbert. Herbert's arm at that Senior Bowl in 2020 was just like from Zeus. Like he was like tapped on the shoulder by the gods. It was an unbelievable laser show from Justin Herbert. Never seen anything like it. To go to then the Senior Bowl I went to a couple of years ago, where the best quarterback is now the backup on the Bears. He was what's his name?
Was that 2023?
Yeah, he's now on the Bears. He's kind of a solid player.
Tyson Bagent
from Shepherd.
Yeah.
Bagent.
He's good.
Yeah, right. He's a solid player. Bagent was the best quarterback. To go from Herbert to Bagent, I was like, this is disorienting. I was talking to you guys in the crowd about this. I was like, this is wild. This is nothing like 2020. And then Alex was like, oh, 2020. And I was like, yeah, dude. And then we were talking about Jordan Love. Like, he certainly had some nice deep connections in that, but he was also incredibly erratic. And so None of this is a surprise to me. And then what happens in the NFL is that sometimes these guys, they get the deep ball just pounded out of them. Like Daniel Jones has a strong arm, but you would never know it to watch an NFL game. Like some of these guys you would never know because they get so punished by turnovers that they just stop using it. They stop using it. That's what I like about Herbert is he's not going to stop throwing the ball deep. He's past that point, right? So that's the beauty of that's why I like Justin Herbert so much, one of the reasons. Whereas Love, it's like he could be Daniel Jones in a couple of years. That's the problem.
Minus the legs.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. I mean, again, salt of the earth people in Wisconsin, Packers love it. You know, the community owns the team. I mean, the whole it's such a cool thing. One of the original teams, they literally packed boxes. The Packers. How can you not love that? Love that. Love that. But they're doomed, and they're not going to do anything for 10 years.
The reason I drew that out the way I did and talked about the Senior Bowl is because that was their opportunity. Remember, the Eagles had Carson Wentz. The Packers had back-to-back MVP winning Aaron Rodgers on the roster. Rodgers still playing football. Granted, people have their opinions. They could have kept him, could have played 5 more years, probably would have won another MVP. They could have drafted Jalen Hurts at that 26th overall pick if they really wanted to. Remember Jalen Hurts, the guy that won the national championship, second in the Heisman, SEC Offensive Player of the Year. Did he just win the Super Bowl?
I think he did. No, what they did was, Cody, they decided, no, we should go with the guy from Utah State with the 55% completion percentage.
Yep.
So they sowed the seeds of their own demise 5 years ago, and it will be another 10 years before they can finally climb out of that mistake. That's a 15-year mistake. Bye, everybody. Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.